You've probably heard a lot of coaches on deck or on YouTube talk about an early vertical forearm.
Early vertical forearm.
EVF, early vertical forearm.
Early vertical forearm.
Early vertical forearm.
For EVF. Early vertical forearm.
But what exactly is an early vertical forearm and how can you learn how to do it? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to give you all the tools you need to become an early vertical forearm master. Let's get into it. What's up guys, I'm CoachMattZ. I'm the head coach of Davis Aquatic Masters out in California, and I also make YouTube videos for people looking to learn more and elevate their swimming. Today, I'm gonna teach you all about the early vertical forearm, and then I'll run you through a little drill progression that's gonna teach you how to do it. So let's get started by talking about what an early vertical forearm is and why it's important. When you start your pull through the water, we want to bend the elbow and point your fingertips down early on in the stroke. This motion will put your arm in a position where your elbow is high, your fingertips are low, and your forearm is vertical, or at least close to it. This position here is the early vertical forearm, and there's a few reasons why it's very important. Reason number one is that it creates less drag than pulling with a straight arm. When you pull with a straight arm, you've got a lot of mass sticking out from your body. By bending your elbow, your arm will raise up a little bit. This is going to reduce your drag without sacrificing speed. Reason number two is that it can create a more powerful pull because you're able to connect your arm muscles with the big muscles in your back. When your muscles and your movements all work together, you're going to be more efficient and stronger. It's a classic example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And finally, reason number three is it's going to reduce your chance for injury. Because you've got less drag and you're using all your muscles connected together, you're putting less pressure on your shoulders. This is going to greatly reduce your chance for a shoulder injury. In fact, the first two things I tell my swimmers when they're experiencing shoulder pain is number one, make sure your head is down, and then number two, work on that early vertical forearm. Hey guys, I'm just going to pause the video here for a second to let you know about a really cool deal I got going on with Finis. Right now, you can get 20% off all Finis gear if you use the code CoachMattZ. So go to finisswim.com, check out all their cool gear, paddle, snorkels, goggles, fins, whatever you're looking for, they've got it. Use the code CoachMattZ and you will get 20% off. Now back to the video. Now that you know what we're working on here and why it's important, I want to teach you how to get into the proper position before we do any drills on land or in the water. So the first thing I want you to do is extend your arms straight out in front of you, okay? You'll notice when I do that, my elbow's kind of pointed diagonally down. Not a great position to be in for me to get into any sort of vertical forearm here, okay? So what I'm going to do is turn my hand over. So my pinky is pointed up, my palm is pointed out. Now my elbow's pointed kind of diagonally up, a much better position, okay? But now my hand is in a bad position, so I'm gonna hold my elbow here so it stays. Just gonna turn my hand over, okay? Now I've got my elbow in a good position, my hand in a good position, and I can now do an early vertical forearm. So work on it a few times because it's a little awkward, and if you're not able to get your shoulder and your elbow in the correct position, you'll never be able to do the early vertical forearm. And while you're working on that, you can use your other hand to do me a huge favor and hit that thumbs up button and click that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. Your support helps the channel continue to grow, and I really appreciate it. Now that you got a feel for the position we're trying to get into here, I'm going to run you through a pretty simple drill progression that will help you actually do it in the water. So let's get started. All right, so drill number one is actually going to be on land, and you're going to need to use one of these stretch cords. Now I got a whole set of these stretch cords on Amazon for under 30 bucks, so they're not crazy expensive. And side note, these bands are good to use for dry land training, and they're also great for pre-race or pre-workout warm-up, so they're worth a purchase. Now, if you don't have the bands or you don't want to buy them, that's okay. You can still learn the early vertical forearm without this drill. However, this drill is going to help you get some muscle memory down before you even jump in the water. So here's how it goes. You're gonna take the bands and put them around a post, a fence, a door, whatever works. Put your feet about shoulder width apart, bend forward, keeping your back flat. Now we're gonna pull back on the bands like we're swimming fly. Make sure you don't pull with a straight arm. Right at the beginning of the pull, we're gonna bend the elbow and get into an early vertical forearm position, and then just pull straight back. If you're struggling with getting the feeling for this, just do the first part of the pull. Simply bend your elbows, point your fingertips down, and then repeat. Do this a few times so you get the hang of it. If you can do it in front of a mirror, that's great. Then you can keep an eye on your technique. And as I said, this is a great pre-race warm-up if you don't have a warm-up pool or a warm-up area. Moving into drill number 2, we're going to do what I call a freestyle scull. And this is going to be a little different than a traditional scull because instead of sweeping out and back, we're going to sweep in towards our armpit and try to find that vertical forearm position. So we'll start by getting into a great body position with your hands out in front. This drill is going to be easier to do with a snorkel, but can be done without one. We're simply going to alternate doing that freestyle sculling motion, sweeping your hands in towards your armpit, keeping your elbow high, and trying to point your fingertips down. The goal here is to get into the early vertical forearm, but not pull through. Drill number 3 is what I call underwater recovery freestyle. So building on what we did in the last drill, you'll start in that great body position, you'll do the freestyle scull, but this time you're going to pull all the way to your hip and then bring your hand back out in front underwater. While you're doing this, make sure you're getting into the correct arm position, pointing your fingertips down and keeping your elbows high as early as possible in the stroke. Also, try to get your hips rotating on this so you can get your whole body working. It's going to be easier to get into the correct forearm position if you're reaching and rotating. Drill number 4 is going to be a 4-4-4. And what you're going to do here is 4 freestyle sculls, 4 underwater recovery strokes, and then 4 regular strokes, and then repeat. So we're putting it all together here, trying to make sure that as your stroke becomes more and more of a regular freestyle stroke, you still start out the same. From here, I would just move into either some catch-up freestyle or regular freestyle where I'm focusing on stretching it out and obviously finding the correct forearm position. Start with some easy swims to make sure you're maintaining good technique, then build into the higher yardage, more difficult sets. Remember, you gotta walk before you can run. There you have it, guys. All you need to know about the early vertical forearm, plus some drills that'll help you become an EVF master. Now, this arm position is a little bit unnatural, so it will probably take you a little while before you get it down. Have your coach watch you or have somebody record you to make sure you're doing it correctly. As always, if you have questions, let me know down in the comments. If you guys like this video, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button. If you like the content, consider subscribing. I'm CoachMattZ. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I'll see you next time.